The drama surrounding Sophie Cunningham's injury has sent shockwaves across the WNBA, not just because of the play itself, but because of what followed in the moments after. In a season already filled with physical clashes, questionable officiating, and heated rivalries, one image has gone viral and completely reshaped the narrative. Bria Hartley, caught with what appeared to be a smirk as Sophie Cunningham was helped off the floor in pain, has become the center of a firestorm that refuses to settle. Fans are asking if this was merely an unfortunate accident or if it was something darker, a dirty hit compounded by a reaction that felt like mockery. And in the middle of it all, the Indiana Fever's season hangs in the balance. It all unfolded in the second quarter of what should have been a routine game. The Connecticut Sun were already in control, their physical defense grinding down the Fever. Then, Bria Hartley drove hard into the paint, cutting through defenders with her usual reckless edge. Sophie Cunningham, sliding over to contest, never had a chance. Hartley's momentum carried directly into Cunningham's right leg, and the impact was immediate. Cunningham went down in a heap, clutching her knee before collapsing fully onto the hardwood. The arena's atmosphere shifted in an instant. What seconds earlier had been the rhythm of a normal possession was suddenly replaced by gasps, shouts, and silence as fans realized something serious had just happened. Cunningham tried to sit up, but the pain overwhelmed her. Trainers rushed to her side, steadying her as she leaned on their shoulders, unable to put weight on the injured leg. Every wince across her face told the story. By the time she disappeared into the tunnel, ruled out for the rest of the game, the reality of the moment had sunk in. One of Indiana's toughest and most vocal leaders was gone, sidelined by what looked like a devastating blow. On its own, the injury would have been enough to spark debate. But what happened next poured fuel on the fire. As Cunningham was being helped away, cameras cut back to Hartley, and there it was. The grin, a flash of teeth, the unmistakable upward curl of her lips, a smirk that seemed completely out of place. In the heat of competition, emotions run wild, and players react in ways that don't always translate on camera. This looked sinister. To Fever fans, to Cunningham's family, to millions watching online, it wasn't just a bad look. It was an insult, a moment of joy in someone else's pain. Almost immediately, the reaction erupted online. Screenshots of Hartley's grin spread across social media like wildfire. The narrative hardened. Bria Hartley hadn't just collided with Sophie Cunningham. She had taken her out, smiled about it, and walked away with zero accountability. And for Fever fans already sensitive to a season filled with hard fouls, missed calls, and injuries, it was the breaking point. Even Cunningham's family couldn't stay silent. Her sister Lindsay blasted the officiating, calling out the league's tendency to punish players for speaking out instead of addressing the inconsistent calls that put athletes at risk. Their mother, Paula, went even further, accusing Hartley of being out of control on the court before later deleting her comments. But the damage was done. The narrative had taken hold, and the emotion was raw. Part of why Hartley's smirk hit so hard is because of who she is in the eyes of fans. If this had been a player with a spotless reputation, maybe people would have given her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they would have chalked it up to adrenaline or an unfortunate camera angle. But Bria Hartley doesn't carry that kind of goodwill. Her highlight reel is littered with confrontations. She's pulled opponents' hair in scrums, dragged players to the floor in reckless challenges, gotten into scuffles with veterans, and even been ejected after escalating tempers. None of those incidents alone defined her career, but together they've painted a picture of someone who crosses the line too often. So when Hartley's grin was frozen in that viral screenshot, fans didn't see a one-off. They saw confirmation of a pattern. A dirty hit, followed by what looked like satisfaction. In their eyes, Hartley wasn't just another competitor. She was the villain. And yet, what made the controversy even worse was the officiating. The referees didn't review the play. No foul, no flagrant, no stoppage. The game simply rolled on as if Cunningham hadn't just been helped off with a possible season-ending injury. That lack of intervention became its own scandal. How, fans asked, can the league claim to protect its stars if moments like this go unexamined? The calls for accountability grew louder, with many demanding Hartley face suspension, and the WNBA itself be forced to answer for why players are repeatedly left vulnerable. For Indiana, the timing couldn't have been worse. Caitlin Clark was already sidelined with a groin issue. Arie McDonald and Sydney Coulson had been ruled out for the season. Losing Cunningham wasn't just about her scoring or toughness. It was about leadership. She was the glue that steadied the backcourt, the voice that kept the rotation afloat. With her gone, the Fever's roster looked thinner than ever, their playoff hopes suddenly fragile. But basketball is unpredictable, and out of one of the ugliest moments of the season came one of the most shocking turnarounds in franchise history. Down 21 points against one of the toughest teams in the league, Indiana looked finished. And then Kelsey Mitchell lit the game on fire. At halftime, Mitchell had just 4 points, showing no signs of what was coming. Then, in the second half, she delivered one of the greatest individual performances in Fever history. 34 points after the break, 38 overall, tying her career high. She hit 5 threes, drew fouls, attacked relentlessly, and in overtime, scored the first 10 points herself. Each bucket wasn't just a number on the scoreboard, it was a lifeline dragging her team back from the brink. Aaliyah Boston held the interior with a double, anchoring the defense, grabbing rebounds and feeding her guards with pinpoint kickouts. Odyssey Sims orchestrated the offense with precision, scoring 19 points while dishing 7 assists, her assertiveness keeping the Sun defense scrambling. And when Lexi Hull nailed a 3 from the corner in overtime, sealing the upset, the Fever's bench exploded. What had begun as a nightmare turned into the greatest comeback in team history. Inside the locker room, Coach Stephanie White made sure her team understood what they had just accomplished.